Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about tanking and the build that I've put together to demonstrate it. A build that I consider to be a tank support class, and it works extremely well in that role, and why I think that tanking is going to take a new breath of life with patch 1.4, be more effective, be more fun, and we're going to see more players doing it in a squad composition, especially in public groups and random groups, because it's extremely effective. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is my gear, why I have 4-piece tack, then I'll talk about my guns, my skills, my talents, etc. So first things first, Tactician's 4-piece, that's what I'm running with 2 high ends, 10% skill haste, 10% skill power, and then the 4-piece bonus. Every bullet your group hit enemies with is adds 0.2% skill power to you for a max of 30% bonus. Bonus disappears after 10 seconds of not being updated or at 10 seconds after 10 seconds at full power. Now, this is a really good bonus with teammates. I will be demonstrating solo, but this is only increased drastically in effectiveness per person that is in addition to your group. So, if it's you and a teammate, this is much better. If it's you and 2 teammates, this is even better. And if it's you and 3 teammates, this is at its peak efficiency. Now, this 30% bonus is quite helpful. On top of a very high skill power number, it means your heal is going to be better. It means your stuff's going to come back faster, your ballistic shield that you'll be using to tank, etc. And in the end, it's a really great 4-piece to run with this support style tank. So now I'm going to talk about all 4 of my pieces, why I've chosen the main stats that I have. I do have 1 piece of stamina gear here. I have health on kill, increased kill XP. It's not that important to roll health on kill. It used to be much more effective and much more efficient. Now it's kind of just, a good attribute to have. It's not really necessarily something that you have to get on every gear piece, but it is quite good. Moving on to my pads, I have electronics pads. I've spec'd heavily into my third stat, electronics, a little bit into stamina, and then not at all into firearms. I'm going, some people may say I'm too glassy to be a tank with toughness of 215. I have low mitigation, it's something like 46%, but I will demonstrate why this does work, why the ballistic shield makes it so you can tank, and why it's a really fun, style of play to go with. Now, on my pads, I have armor. That's the most important major attribute to roll in this regard. The 1,000 armor you can get, over 1,000 armor on your knee pads, is important for increasing your mitigation, and I foresee pretty much everyone's going to roll it there. Moving on to my holster, you're going to want to roll armor there as well. I have a good holster here with high 900s across the board. That's considered a god roll now. Anything with, high 900s to, just over 1,000 in each category and armor is what I consider to be a god rolled holster. And then moving on to my gloves, I have, high electronics roll here. Critical hit chance, SMG damage to elite. Since I'll be using a pistol the entire time, I would prefer critical hit damage instead of SMG damage. But again, it's not perfect. Decent armor roll, decent pair of gloves. Moving on to my backpack, I am using Specialized with 200% of firearms and stamina to skill power. If you add stamina to firearms, I'm up around 6,000, and that doubled is 12,000, so I'm actually getting 12,000 skill power from this talent. Now, a lot of people would actually advise me to run Inventive. However, since I'm going to be tanking, I'm going to be taking damage constantly, which means Inventive, which increases skill power by 15% while at full health. And yes, in this situation, it would give me more skill power. As you can see, if I equip it up 229 while at full health instead of 214, I will not be at full health hardly ever during a fight, because I'm going to be taking the aggro, I'm going to be taking the damage, and as a result of that, I won't have the 15% active, hardly at all. Moving on to my chest piece, it's very important to run Vigorous with this build. Your heal does a lot, specifically your booster shot, and you want to be able to put that on the ground and fully heal your teammates very frequently. So having, the Vigorous talent on your vest is very critical. Now, what Vigorous also allows you to do is if one of your allies has a support station, if you are wearing Vigorous, you'll be able to receive an overheal from that support station. Now, this is not true in the opposite case. Like, if you have a support station and you're wearing Vigorous, your support station isn't going to overheal your teammates. Whether or not that's an intended mechanic, whether or not that's functioning as they, want it to, I'm not really sure. But right now, if you are wearing Vigorous, that means allied support stations can overheal you, regardless of whether or not the person that owns the support station is wearing it. So Vigorous is actually even more valuable now after 1.4 drops than it was in 1.3, and it was already really good in 1.3. The hidden gem also behind Booster Shot is decreased damage taken and increased damage given, so there's a lot of really awesome bonuses to that. Now moving on to my weapons, I'm not going to be using my primary or my secondary ever because I'll be tanking 100% of the time, so I'm not going to talk about those. But on my pistol, I do have Talented. Now this increases skill power by 15% for 20 seconds. After I kill an enemy, the effect does not stack. I don't have enough firearms to unlock it, but I'm sure someone that, is willing to sacrifice some skill power and spec even more, into firearms as opposed to stamina would be able to activate this, which I think is very important. Because if you are able to activate this, it's just another 15% bonus on top of this 200 some odd thousand skill power, which is extremely effective. So moving on to my skills, what you're going to be using is Ballistic Shield with reactive targeting. Now this has by far the most health. You're definitely going to be using this unless you're really, really squishy, in which case you can use Kinetic Breaker, but it has decreased health. It has only 1 million HP as opposed to 1.5 million HP. And the difference between that is just the difference between having the shield up longer and tanking more damage from more enemies for a longer period of time, and having to go behind cover and recharge or wait for the skill to come back, or not being able to soak the damage off of your teammates for longer periods of time with Kinetic Breaker. However, the damage that you're going to be dealt while using this shield is tremendous and very significant. So if you're tanking damage from like 3 heavies at once, and you have Kinetic Breaker on, and there is an enemy on your flank that's shooting you in the side, you'll be able to actually fully heal through that damage. So there is actually a good trade-off to using Kinetic Breaker. However, I will personally always be using reactive targeting. Now moving on to Booster Shot. You're going to heal for 124 to both yourself and your allies. Now this is where performance mods would come in handy. This number or this number could be augmented by as much as 22%. Increase, because if you have 5.5% of either in all 4 of your performance mod slots, it could be augmented by 22% and raised and actually be more effective. However, 124,000 and 124,000 across the board, as well as the temporary increase to damage and damage resistance, is going to be really good, and it's going to be negligible. Even if you were to have all the performance mods, it's not going to be something that you're going to notice, oh, this build does or doesn't work based on those. You're still going to be able to use this build to peak efficiency, and to demonstrate that, actually, I have not put performance mod slots in all of my gear. Specifically to help deal with some of this anxiety that's being created now. I've been even told a bunch of times on my own videos, or sent, messages to my private Facebook saying that I'm an idiot for farming gear and for advertising that people should farm gear in 1.3 because it's all going to be useless, which is not the case. I understand that this is the final process in min-maxing. It's one of the final steps. And people that are really intent on fully min-maxing their characters, you are 100% right. The backpack, the holster, and the knee pads won't actually get the performance mod slots in the transitional phase from 1.3 to 1.4. However, I'm doing this build to demonstrate that most players that aren't exactly super fixated on that, and it's fine to be, but a lot of people aren't, you will still be able to use most builds at super efficient, levels without having those performance mods. But one last thing on the heals. You're going to always run Booster Shot. You can run Defibrillator if you really want to, and it is something good to do because it can, revive downed allies. But you're not going to run Overdose because the ally heals low, and you're actually kind of fulfilling a support role in that sense as well. And since you have Vigorous, it's very important to take advantage of Booster Shot with the damage mitigation and the damage increase. So then I'm going to talk about my talents. So on the move is something that you're going to be using because while walking around with the Ballistic Shield, you are moving fast enough to proc on the move if you do get the killing blow. And that, you can never say no to 30% mitigation for 10 seconds. That's just going to help you tank even better. I do use Chain Reaction because it procs with grenades. I do like that a great deal. And then I actually am going to use Strike Back right now instead of Shrapnel. I was using Shrapnel for a previous build, but Strike Back is going to allow you to reach low health with your tanking build, which you can allow yourself to do on purpose. To get 20% cooldown reduction on your heal, because you can control how much damage you take pretty much the entire duration of the fight. And then Critical Save, because when you are at low health and you pop a heal, you want that 40% increased mitigation. It's going to make you even more tanky. Now, moving on, I'm going to demonstrate it in Clear Sky and show you exactly how it works while tanking a lot of aggro from a lot of different NPCs. So as I go up here, I am going to just start firing away. I am going to draw them back. It's important to keep the shield between you and the enemies, because if you don't, that is when you actually will go down. If they flank you, if they come too far up the right hand or the left hand side, they will do enough damage to kill you. But as long as you keep the shield in between you and them, as you can see, the shield is taking damage. However, it has 1.5 million health, and it's going to be a long time before it goes down. During this entire duration, my team would be able to deal damage to these NPCs, drop a few of them, decrease the amount of damage I'm taking, etc. Another very, very clear alternative to the talents that I'm running for my high ends is the fact that I could be running something like, I forget the name of the talent exactly, but the talent that heals skill objects as well as yourself. And if you run that talent, every time you pop your Booster Shot, you're actually going to gain 124,000 health back to your Ballistic Shield, which would allow you to stand out here indefinitely. You would be able to stand out here and tank damage for as long as you felt like, and it would not be an issue. So now if we come back here, let's get behind this truck, and I'll demonstrate the fact that the shield does regenerate over time. As you can see, it's going up, and then when I start to take damage, it stops going up again. Now, if I run back behind this truck, I can show it even better. The shield will begin to regenerate health in a moment. There it goes. As you can see, it's ticking up, and all I have to do is wait for a couple seconds. And with 1.5 million health, every one of those ticks is about 100,000 damage. When I do need to, I can pop my booster shot. I can go right back up to complete full health easily. And then I can time it and get down, you know, trigger, strike back, get my cooldowns reduced. And then from here, I can start to tank again. Here we go. Again, just tanking as many mobs as I can. It's very important to keep the shield between you and the enemy NPCs, though. As soon as you start to get too close and they flank around to the side, they can rip through you because your toughness is not that high. It's only 215,000. So with this build, it's very important to try and keep them all, you know, in front of you like this, because then all the damage is coming from one direction. And during that period of time where it's all coming from the same direction, you can be popping your heal on the ground. You don't have to personal pop the heal. I'll demonstrate in a moment, because you can fire the heal from behind the shield. So let's say your team is in trouble. You can hold your heal out, fire it on the ground wherever you need to, stand in it, back up to full health. Your teammates will be as well because of the amount of healing that you do based on your skill power. And you can just go right back to tanking. With a proper version of this build and the proper tactics, you can actually tank about 15 NPCs permanently in a perpetual rotation where they will never kill your shield, where they will never kill you. Especially with teammates, I mean, you won't even have to tank them for that long, because during this entire duration, I'm sure my teammates would have been able to drop these enemies. But like I said, if your teammates are up farther, up there, you can go ahead and drop the heal on the ground, you know, wherever you want to, from behind the shield safely. It's a really fun build, and that's about it. So I'm going to leave it off there. I'm going to run back, and I'm going to end the video now. Hopefully that was enough to demonstrate that this style of play, this line of play, is extremely effective. You can tank in a really fun way, in a way that previously in the division hasn't really existed, and something like Clear Sky is going to be easier now, because recently myself and a few others completed Clear Sky with a player that had actually almost no max out gear whatsoever, had like 100,000 toughness or something along those lines. And the reason we were able to do that, and you know, not all of us having perfectly min-max PvE builds on heroic difficulty, the hardest difficulty in the game, is because two of us used the shields, stood in front, protected the others using reactive targeting, and did exactly what I just demonstrated, firing booster shot on the ground for each other when we needed it. And it was a really fun experience, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully you guys like the content. If you do and you want to support the channel, please check out the links below. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see. Let me know if this was good or bad in the comments below the description. And yeah, make sure that you're, you know, checking us out for further content. Drop a like if you like the content. We will do weekly State of the Upper Echelon videos now, letting you guys know about giveaways and events and sponsors and all of that different juicy stuff. So if you really want to be involved, check out the Facebook community, which is linked in the description, our Discord for matchmaking. There's a lot of different things going on, and hopefully we can continue to grow the community in a positive way. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and have a nice day.